I was just thinking about this. Like, this is actually like some classic. Uh, I don't know. This is some societal weirdness because there are literally there's like the same complaints from basically all women about most men, which is that men don't know how to talk to women, men aren't good socially, etc. And yet there is no universal instruction on this. It's like the exact same situation like where like nobody is actually taught how to do their taxes in school. Nobody's taught like real life skills in school. You're expected to like essentially learn that on your own, but also it's not even considered mandatory, even though it is a thing that everyone does mandatorily have to interact with. And so it's like some people literally go through life without ever paying their taxes, and they just like waste money their entire life. It's just like it's a life skill that is somehow considered perfunctory, even though it's not. It's actually like foundational, fundamental, totally needed and necessary. And it's this same problem. Like men don't talk to each other about talking to women. That's not in male culture. It is in female culture though to talk to each other about men. So you get this weird problem where like uh, a legitimate I I think it's probably the majority of women have had really negative experiences with I don't know want to know I don't know if it is most men, but it is a lot of men. Um, it's like I would definitely not hesitate to say that like there every single woman who has tried to date has had a profoundly negative experience with a man for this exact reason. He just doesn't know what he's doing, has like weird assumptions, and also it's just like, but also why are women so upset because when women aren't trying to help men figure out how to do it? It's like expecting someone to show up to the first dance class and do the leading role in a dance when that role is easily 4 or 5 times more nuanced and complicated than the following role. It's also way more difficult to figure out how to lead just by leading than it is to figure out how to lead by following. Women have an advantage. They actually do experience being led well by some men. Or I don't think being led is what happens in dating, but there's an analog here, right? It's just a situation where the population that's supposed to know what they are doing doesn't, and also there is no infrastructure to fix that problem. And the only people who actually have the knowledge and tools to fix this problem, besides men who get it, which I think there are some men who get it, but I don't think that there are that many men who get it. Proportionally to the number of men, it's very few. I think there are many more women who actually understand, like how a man should treat a woman than there are men who understand how a man should treat a woman. I think that is definitely true. I would not hesitate to say that there's easily twice as many women who understand how a man should treat a woman and probably can verbalize it than men. This is a much more difficult task and problem to figure out for a man coming from no information whatsoever than it is for a woman coming from being on the receiving end and actually having some good experiences with men. Men are playing, it's like whack-a-mole. I don't know. It's a weird thing. And it's also like it's weird that it's not talked about. It's weird. It's exactly like how in school we're taught a bunch of weird shit, a lot of which has no bearing on reality or life or anyone's future whatsoever. And there's a lot of weird emphasis on things that have no bearing on anyone's future. I think math in general is a weird thing to teach in school because sure, if you go into the sciences, you're going to need math, but most people do not use math. But people don't even use arithmetic anymore. Math is for easily maybe 90 to 95% of the people who go to school and learn arithmetic and then algebra and geometry, etc. They're not going to use any of it ever again, especially now that we have calculators. This has been true for 40 years that math is like it's an old world skill. It's a skill that used to be good that everyone knows, and now it's just being used to teach logic, but it's not even being used to teach logic that well. I don't know. And it's like I don't know, it's just like women everywhere are deeply frustrated. A lot of women are profoundly angry because of how many men are bad at dealing with women, and yet I feel like men are not more clued into the situation than women. Actually, it's the opposite. Women have way more knowledge and awareness about what actually is happening, and also they aren't doing anything about fixing the problem. This is a weird situation that, I don't know, tell me what you think. This is a problem in society, I think, which is, and this has been a prominent fucking theme in my life. It's because I was dumped into adulthood without any of the skills that most people learn in childhood. And so I've been essentially, I don't know how you call it, a man child. And I think still am, probably always will be. But this has been a prominent theme. It's just like there's a lot of skills that most people learn through osmosis as children. And then if you get into adulthood somehow and don't learn them, it's like dealing with an autistic person. I have a lot of high functioning autistic friends who just do not get social cues or do not get the reason why it's important to honor a social cue. Even if they do catch the cue, they don't get why you should care. And it's stuff like that where it's like I was just fucking floundering. I was stuck for years and years. I got into adulthood. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to talk to people. I didn't know how to do anything. And you get to this point where it's you have these interactions with people when you make a mistake, and then people have this realization, oh, you're a man child. And then instead of helping, which of course it's not their responsibility to help. And I've done this myself, actually. As I've grown in maturity, I have met other people who have the same problems, gaps in their knowledge, gaps in their awareness, making stupid mistakes that you should have learned not to make when you were a kid. But for some reason, there's gaps in their education or whatever. And they're just like, have a really incomplete model for how something actually works in a way that it would take you a lot of effort to correct for them personally, right? And yet not correcting it amplifies the problem. It makes it worse. It doesn't just not fix it for that individual. It also normalizes the fact that people can go through life thinking that they have the right model when they actually don't. And so you get a really fucked up, weird situation where the fact that it's not a responsibility necessarily to help other people complete their world models and have better lives and mature and learn the things that they should have learned if they were a healthy, well-adjusted person being social when they were kids. And yet the fact that we aren't helping them is not just making it worse for their life. It's also normalizing that sort of thing and perpetuating the problem. We are indirectly producing more people like that in the future. And the very thing that everyone is complaining about isn't actually solving the problem. Solving the problem would be sitting down with those people, those men, or it's not just men, obviously, but it is obviously, I think, a bigger problem for men because men are far less socialized than women in general. I think that's obviously true. And society does not have a mechanism to address these kinds of developmental delays. And it's a problem from a lot of angles. It's not just that we are not trying to fix it. It's also that I think there is, in many respects, a common belief that it can't be fixed. It's not something that can be taught. I think that's really stupid. And I don't know. I guess like this has been a big part of my motivation is just like I'm trying to fill in the gaps that I feel like most people understand these things without needing to be told, but for a lot of people, they don't. And how are we going to help those people? And also, what about the problems, the downstream effects of not helping those people? That seems like a really big deal to me. And it's also getting worse because Gen Z, and I don't know, it's just like, it feels like nobody is taking these problems seriously. I think I can think of only one, maybe two people. I think Jordan Peterson might have been considered somebody who took these problems seriously. And I can think of maybe one or two other public figures that I know of that I feel like is taking these kinds of problems seriously, but it's not common. It's definitely not the norm. And that feels really fucking and weird in a society where, I don't know, it's if your competence in society was based on your ability to lead in a dance, and then you don't know how to lead in the dance, and also you're expected to figure it out without having been taught. It feels like a really fucked up situation. I don't know.